Hey everybody, Chuck Barone here. Thursday, August the 13th, 2022, and another day of crazy in these markets. Really, just a phenomenon like I've never seen. Well, we're going to go through it all. Before we start, as always, I just want to thank everybody for their support for the channel, watching the videos, your questions and comments and likes, and all the good stuff you guys do for the channel every day. We love you guys. We really appreciate you. Markets today. Stock market. Crazy, shocking rally. No one could see it coming. I mean, the markets were up 2.5% in the face of some pretty negative news. I was watching Bloomberg earlier this morning. Futures were all green. CPI number hits at 5:30 a.m. It was real early. Boom, futures turn upside down instantly. Market starts out in the tank, and out of nowhere, rallies like crazy. The Dow ending up over 800 points. It was a 1,400 point swing. And tell me why. You know, I started digging, okay, what's the news that this market is rallying on? Now, a couple of earnings came in, bank earnings looking okay. Is that enough for a 1,400 point swing in the market? I don't know. This looks speculative. It's everything, the market's just being whipsawed around, I think the market really wants to rally, but it can't in the face of the Fed and the rate increases coming, the recession coming. Wild day on Wall Street, though, wild day. Bond market down today, continuing the bear market run down. 10-year sitting at 3.95%, just under 4%, up 5 basis points today. The 2-year spiking up to 4.47%. Boom. So the 2-year sitting just under 4.5%. These rates are going to, I mean, for a person who's a fixed income person, a person who invests for yield, getting a 2-year treasury at 4.47%, these are numbers that investors haven't seen for a while. I'm surprised, I really am, that these rates are spiking so high. That means people are selling 2 years instead of buying them. It's odd. Bond market, all just kind of crazy. Adding to the crazy in the stock market and every single thing else. Bond market, there's dollar today, down almost a full point on the index to 112.47. It's still super strong, but why is the dollar tanking now? Really, do they think this CPI number that came out today now is some kind of, ooh, we've already passed the peak, and you know they're already going back to this thinking of pivoting, and it's just nonsense. It's not going to happen. All of this stuff is just, I don't know. I guess the market has to have its speculators. People have to be, you know, for every person that sells, you have to have somebody buying. But wow, I just cannot believe this market today in the face of this CPI news. Metals today, the dollar down. What do metals do? You would think they would rally. Nope. Gold down about $7 today to 1,666. Silver down 15 cents today to $18.94, got back under $19. I would think with the dollar coming down almost a full point, metals would have rallied. They didn't. Oil today up, but has been going back down. Today rallies up to almost, well, around 2%, $89.14 for a barrel of West Texas Intermediate. Natural gas rallies up almost 4% today to $6.70, still well below its peak, but these markets are just gyrating all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason to them. There's no sense to any of this. If you're a trader looking at this, you know, what's happening in the market is not, like when you get a CPI number like we got today, you would think the bond market would be cratering pretty hard. You would think the stock market would. The dollar would probably be strengthening. Metals down. All of this stuff is all backwards. It's crazy. The oil today, so oil rallies. Maybe they're thinking they'll be, yesterday was, well, demand, recession, demand down. Today, maybe what? The recession. I mean, just every day it's changing like that. We think demand is falling one day, demand is rising the next day. I mean, it's just silly. Bitcoin today up, crazy, but up $282 and 19,430, rallying with the market. Not quite as much as the market, but a decent pop up for them. I'd like to see them, Bitcoin needs a rally. It needs a good rally. And I hope that it'll get there for our people who are Bitcoin investors. I hope they can get where they need to be to get out of Bitcoin, because I just don't see a giant anything coming soon in Bitcoin. I just want to double check that price. I'm not sure if it was 18,000 or 19,000. Bear with me. Yeah, 19,400. Okay, $413 right now. Okay, news you need today. So the big news of the day, the CPI number. The number comes in very, very hot. They're going to try to gloss it over. They're going to try to find any way possible to make this, look better than it is. It's lipstick on a pig. Not going to fix it. You had the number come in at 8.2%. Okay, so that's down from the peak at 9.1. So we should celebrate 8.2. No. We've had rate increases like crazy, and inflation is barely budging. The core rate rising to 6.6%. Economists were expecting declines in both of those. Month over month, totals looked even worse, with a rise of 0.4% month over month on the top line and jumping 0.6% on core. That's a giant 1 month leap, guys. Last month the top line was up 0.1. So prices are starting to accelerate increases. I think now this core rate, which is what the Fed really looks closely at, I think we can kind of price. We've pretty much cemented in a 3/4 bump in the beginning of November. I think we can look for another 3/4 bump now in December, and more rate increases coming in the new year of 2023. I just don't see any kind of reason for the Fed now to get off the accelerator. The market rallying in the face of, rate increases in a CPI report like this one. This is really a bad report, guys. I mean, this is really, really crummy. We're looking at this economy, and there's just so many mixed signals in this economy. I guess it just depends on your market you're in. It depends on the industry you're in, because some are doing well, some are crapping out. If you're in real estate, it's already a big recession. If you're a mortgage guy, forget about it, past recession. But apparently the rest of the economy is doing fine. The job report today came. Very, very tiny little increase in initial jobless claims. So the labor market's still super hot. So this all points to more increases. As I mentioned in the show yesterday, this is important to know, guys. The last time we had inflation like this, that wasn't just some weird glitchy reason. They have to get the interest rate higher than the inflation rate. So we have inflation at 8.2, today's number. The Fed patting itself on the back for bringing interest rates up to about 3.2. Well, you're still negative 5% here. You're never going to bring inflation down to your target until your rates are high enough to knock that down, to knock down the economy, in essence, is what they have to do. You have to bring unemployment up. This is all terrible, terrible news. So I'm sitting here scratching my head at this mystery rally on the stock market today. How is it possible that the market rallies in the face of this is This might be the worst news we've gotten on this inflation fight so far, especially when you consider what's happening all around the world. I can't wait to see tomorrow what happens in England when they yank support from the bond market and see what happens with when they do that. I'm just wondering who the buyers in this market were today. Were you guys in the market today buying stocks, looking for bargains? And there are some bargains out there. I mean, Google's looking pretty good right now, especially before this big rally. I mean, it was down over 30%. Still Google. But anyway, just the craziest, weirdest phenomenon day. I've been watching these markets for a long time, since the 80s. And I have never, ever been just as blown away, I guess, by what I'm seeing in these markets. I would be very cautious right now. This is just not a market for novices. This is not a market. If you're not in this, if you don't want to be bothered following your investments every day, this might be a very good time to follow our advice and get yourself into a very defensive position, because this market's off its rocker. There's no rhyme or reason to it now. They sell in it's not a great time for a novice in the market. Real estate news, mortgages are actually slower now, today, than they were in 2008 during the big kablooey. No one wants a mortgage right now. And even if they want a mortgage, they can't qualify for it. It's a disaster in real estate. I was reading a big article today about why the industry, real estate, mortgage, and the whole real estate world should be very concerned with institutional investors in real estate now, because they can absorb losses and tolerate certain craziness that individuals cannot. Plus, they don't care about price. They don't care about so many things that affect individual investors. These are cash buyers. They don't really help the mortgage industry at all. They are big discount people, or they hire their own realtors, or they have their own real estate companies. So it doesn't really do much for the local real estate markets here or anywhere around the country. So these institutional guys with their takeover of real estate are a pretty big looking menace now to the entire industry. It's just fascinating to me that as they got in with both feet and $1 Brazilian, that now the market cratering so hard, slower than it was, and in 2008, when the biggest real estate crash in history ever, well, at least the history of the most current history, I guess maybe in the Depression in some places that happened, but just the craziest times I've ever seen. The new phenomenon now I was reading about today, this is really something interesting. Now they're talking about businesses and a practice called labor hoarding. Okay, so what the deal is that businesses that would ordinarily be laying people off right now are not laying them off. They're reducing their hours or working ways to shuffle around the schedule, because they got burned really bad with the mass layoffs in the pandemic, right? So the pandemic comes, companies lay off a shitload of people. They have, everybody shut down. There's not a lot they could do. Well, they had a lot of difficulty rehiring those people. A lot of them have still not filled the jobs they want to fill, and the people they're hiring are costing them more than the people they had. So what businesses are doing now is, rather than laying people off, they're holding on to their employees. They're basically hoarding the labor market. That way they can keep the labor they have, and they don't have to deal with tight labor markets, higher demands for wages down the road, that paying people basically as little as they can to keep them. The world gets crazier every single day. I can't even believe it. Honest to God. If I wasn't living this, if I was reading this, I would not believe that the world could be this off its rocker. But the good news is, and this is good news, this too shall pass. You know, in 2008, when real estate crashed and the whole world crashed with it, that was really a tough one. I tell you right now, this one's going to be deep. It's going to be difficult. But I don't see it going to the depths that 2008's crash did. I know that one was a completely different scenario, obviously, and we weren't dealing with inflation. We were dealing with a lockup of banks and, some Wall Street rivalries and all kind of craziness there too. But this one, I think, is going to be tough. It's different because this one is actually self-induced because it's going to be an interest rate recession. The recession is going to be caused by these interest rates. The Fed has to do what they have to do. They had everything I've been reading from they let their minutes out, right? And they said that they're more worried about entrenched inflation than inflation running rampant than they are about the state of the economy, especially since the economy still looks really strong. Remember, GDP is going to be up in the third quarter. Crazy times. Tomorrow, big day, Bank of England, tons of bank earnings, all kind of extra data coming tomorrow. We'll bring it up. We'll wrap this crazy week up. I can't wait to see how this all finishes. It's just been topsy-turvy, upside down, swirling around, Bananasville. Well, tomorrow's Friday. Hallelujah. Thank you. We got a weekend coming here that's going to get away from this insanity for a couple of days. But we'll be back tomorrow. We love you guys. We appreciate your support. As always, if you like what you're hearing, hit the like button. Ask your questions in the comments. If you have something a little deeper, ask Chuck Barone at gmail.com. Let's see what tomorrow brings, guys. We'll talk to you then. Until we do, take care. Thanks.